the timer.
Start the timer. Okay, welcome everyone.
So natural.
It's one way of doing it.
Awesome, I love it. All right, guys, thank you for coming back. This is Couch Co-op with myself, Kirrok.
I'm Aggro.
Macleaniac.
And we are Hop Along Games. Together, we are Hop Along Games. So if you don't already know, if you're new to the channel and you're watching us for the first time, basically we get together and talk about video games. We have topics that we like to pull from, but what we really want is for you guys watching us, to give us some topics, things that you would like to see us talk about, video game related. Just throw it in there. Write it down below us, and we'll look at it. We'll add it in. Hamnisu did that already.
We love you.
Hamnisu from Sweden. We love you. We won't forget you. I promise. So hey, I'm drinking. I'm gonna talk about my drink because I'm
please,
excited about this.
Yep.
I haven't tasted it. I've already
show.
opened it, so I don't have a spill. Previously, on one of our previous episodes, we had a Black Creek Historic Brewery beer, and it was a different one. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a dark ale. This one is called Pioneer Harvest Pumpkin Ale. And this is actually made by the guys at Black Creek Pioneer Village, which is literally just up the street from me, which is cool. So I'm going to taste it.
Please don't dox us.
It's fresh. Delightful.
That's weird.
That's a way better response. Yeah. Oh, he doesn't like it.
It's okay.
Black Creek, what were you thinking?
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to drink that.
Really?
I kind of want to try it.
Give it a shot, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you can definitely taste the pumpkin, but it just doesn't.
Is it weird?
It's weird.
Nope.
It is a weird beer.
Actually, okay, the distant aftertaste
Isn't so bad.
Is nice.
Yeah.
But the immediate flavor, I wouldn't even say it's bad. But
No.
if you're not into that taste,
It's definitely a different taste.
it doesn't taste like a beer. It tastes like a flat soda.
Oh, I don't even want to try, guys.
It's kind of a bittery, pumpkin-y. I just threw up on my mouth a little bit. Taste. I'm going to see if I can finish this beer. Okay, you guys.
Hopefully Aggro's doing better. What you drinking on?
I want
Hey.
to know what yours tastes like.
I'm drinking Hop City Cheat Day.
Cheat Day.
Yeah, Black Forest Porter. Now I'm going to preface this whole review that I actually don't really like porters all that much. So I thought I would step outside the box a little bit and be like, you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm
You're
going to
really
try
brave.
this. I'm going to be
You're really
brave.
brave, Aggro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Step outside your comfort zone once in a while. You got to learn to grow as a person and develop. And, there's certain ways to go about that. And I go about it by trying beers that I don't typically drink.
Taste it. Tell me. I want to know. I'm so curious. What have I done?
I really hope mine's good. This is I'm dreading mine. I feel like we made the worst selections today.
Guys, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't think any of these are bad beers. I think there's someone out there that would love both of these beers. But,
A nod to the classic German cake, layers of rich chocolate malt and tart. You know what? I don't like Black Forest cake. Maybe that's...
You don't
what it
like
is.
Black Forest
Is it
cake?
I don't like
And you don't
chocolate
like
and cherry. It's
Is it
weird.
sweet?
You don't like porters. Why did you drink that?
I don't know.
What's wrong with you?
I don't like
I want to
this.
taste it. Can I taste
You
it?
please have this.
While he's tasting
no,
it,
you
I'm
have
actually
mine.
gonna
No,
kick out mine
I'm
while
good.
you're tasting it, if that's okay.
Go
So
for it. Oh, that's way better.
mine.
than this.
Oh,
But
okay.
still,
There
no.
might be a switch happening here. It might be a little switch. So mine is Great Lakes Brewery Canuck Pale Ale. So extremely Canadian, and I want to try and hold this up as best I can.
It's a mini you.
It kind of looks like me.
It is, yeah.
With an axe. I actually wish I was wearing my plaid right now and maybe had a red too, because that would be just too perfect. So let's try it.
This is going to be the best one of all these.
Actually, it tastes very similar to the one I had last episode, which is a pretty straight up beer, but not boring like your typical lager that you would get on the cheap. It's interesting. It's okay. I like it.
Okay.
Great Lake Breweries, good job. Hop City Brewing Co. I'm sure someone loves that. And
Look, I just don't like porters. I think
Black
Black
Pioneer
Creek?
Harvest Pumpkin Ale.
not for everyone.
No, you know what? Sometimes it's a hit and sometimes it's a miss. Usually with us, it's a hit.
Yeah, I
like
know.
we're pretty. We like beer, okay?
And we also
for
know
us,
what we like.
Yeah.
So we buy usually ones we think, ooh.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a little too experimental, and that
This is
forces
what
you to kind of
happens-
rein it in.
Right. This is what
Rein it
happens
in.
when you try something new. So the moral of the story is don't try anything new.
Well, hold on, no, but on our Patreon they can buy us a drink. So if
Okay,
they buy
well,
us a
I'll
drink,
try. Yeah, okay.
if they buy us a drink, we're trying it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Someone at the door.
Someone's at the door, guys.
Oh, there's a package.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
sign for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a package just came
Oh,
in.
super. That's great.
There's a package here. I don't know if someone wants to open that up.
Aggro.
That was such a colossally bad attempt at making that interesting, but hopefully,
No, I loved it. It
I'm
was
really
great.
hoping it's so bad it's good.
Hey guys, our package contains topics to talk about.
What? Who mailed us topics?
That's crazy.
What? She just. How did you even read that? She just went like this and like that.
She's
Magic.
like a
I
savant.
just make up my own questions as I go.
Yeah, she's not actually been reading anything. She's like, "Who's the best gamer ever?" Well, it's clearly me.
Obviously, come on. Objectively.
Smash that like button.
So our topic today is, or our first topic is favorite console.
Easy,
Oh.
so easy, so easy.
Okay, I have my favorite and a second runner-up.
I have mine. I had
Go
mine
ahead.
immediately.
Go ahead.
This is a question I could have answered anytime, anywhere, anyhow. I've been very outspoken about this in my circles whenever
Yeah.
this comes up. This is a console that I bought originally. I have played many of the games that were on this console in emulators and as ROMs.
Yeah.
And recently I rebought the console as a bit of a novelty item.
Oh, okay.
And that is the Super Nintendo.
Got it.
Super Nintendo, and I'm not even trying to claim that the Super Nintendo is the best system.
No, this is
but for
favorite.
me, it's my favorite
Yeah.
because it's just a very special time for me growing up. My family, my brother and I being really into video games, and not that dissimilar from the way we are now when we're really into a game together. We just like talk about it all the time.
Right.
And when we're somewhere where we can't be gaming, we're talking about, I can't wait to get home and jump back into this or that, whether that's Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy 3 or you name it. There's so many great games on that system. In fact, I think some of the best games from a lot of Nintendo's biggest franchises are on that game. My favorite Zelda game, and I know this is not everyone's favorite Zelda game, but my favorite Zelda game is A Link to the Past, bar none.
Right. Okay.
Bar none. Just loved that game. So for me, it's Super Nintendo, and I do really like the Super Nintendo Classic, the SNES Classic, but I just wish it had Chrono Trigger. I know they had that. They obviously had some sort of arrangement with Square because they
you
got
mean
Final
on the
Fantasy
re-release
3.
device?
What's that?
You mean on the re-release device?
Yeah, that's just a game I would love to play again. And Final Fantasy 3 is a great addition. Secret of Mana was awesome
Right.
to have that included. They recently remade that game.
Yes.
And I'm not super sure I want to play it.
It's
It
not
looks-
getting great.
It looks
Really?
super
Yeah, not really.
cutesy, and I think part of that like pixel style was part of its charm. I
Right,
think to take
agreed.
that away is kind of a mistake.
Yep.
They should have remade it in pixel art.
Yeah.
But like a little higher res pixel art, maybe with like just touch up the graphics.
Newer
But-
effects, better effects, and things.
But yeah, the Super Nintendo for me, that's aces. I
What
love that.
era? What years did that come out in? Was it?
That was early
tough one.
90s
I feel like that might have been like 93.
ish.
So it was in the 90s. Wow.
Yeah, I feel like that was 93. I'm going out on a limb here. I'm actually not very good with dates. 93 sounds like it might
About
be right.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It could be earlier. It could be like 91. But at the time, I also had a subscription to Nintendo Power. And back then, you couldn't just jump online and find any info about any game. You had to, have
Wait.
discussions and read articles. Like
Yeah.
you had to actually do research
Yes.
in order to get better
That
about
was the
games. And
best.
I think that's part of, the legacy of the system for me is it will never be that way again. Therefore, no system can ever touch it.
Match it.
Like it'll never ever be that way again.
Makes
Just a
sense.
special place, special time. Super Nintendo, love you, baby.
Okay.
Anyone
So,
else?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. So my favorite, And this is partly to do with the fact that I never owned a Super Nintendo or anything like that. My first console wasn't this one that's my favorite, but my favorite was the original PlayStation.
Yeah.
The original PlayStation was the shit. It was the first time where games were actual true three-dimensional. But when you go back and look at a game from that era, even as good as your brain remembers it, it looks so bad right now, obviously. But it was a time where CD-based games were now in, I think it was 95, 94, 95.
About that, yeah.
Yeah. And it opened up doors to all kinds of things that different developers could make. So there was a range of games that were amazing. I remember playing Myst on it. I remember playing the Siphon Filter series on it. I remember playing Crash Bandicoot. I remember playing a whole slew of games. I could just keep on going. And I think a lot of these games that now you see remastered and coming out were born on that system, like Crash Bandicoot, like I can't even think of any right now on the top of my head, but it was a system that was great. Resident Evil, exactly. That game was like watching a movie. The intro, I remember watching that the first time I bought that game, popped it in, and I watched the intro. I was like, holy shit, this is a movie. But then again, the game wasn't. But they did something that was kind of cool, which isn't new to video games. They did like pre-rendered backdrops that were right. So you'd have the polygonal characters walking on flat 2D surfaces, but made it look like it was 3D because of the perspective, right?
Right.
Which was really amazing.
It's clever.
Clever, and it gave a whole new look to the game, right? Until they eventually went to full 3D environments, right? I loved it. That console was okay, let's put it this way. Kind of like the Game Boy thing a few episodes back.
Yep.
I had the cable that would link the two, and I had Doom for both. The problem was I couldn't play this because the television, back then we had tube televisions, little boys and girls. And you couldn't just, you could put them side by side, but I had one in the bedroom and the other one in the living room. So I bought the link cable, which is only, 5 feet long? And what did I do? I cut it.
And you spliced it?
And I spliced it, and I put telephone wire in between because it was the only wire I could find that was long enough. It was about 100 feet. And I for each cable that came out, I dedicated a wire to it. I soldered it on, taped them up, and I had a cable that ran from my bedroom all the way to the front of the house, and we could play Doom, me and my brother. It was amazing.
I love that.
It was so cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Loved the system. My favorite.
The PlayStation 1 also kind of introduced me to load screens. That was a very new thing. Cartridges never had load screens. It was instantaneous everything.
So I do have a second runner-up. I don't know if I want to bring it up now or do you want to go?
Go for it.
Second runner-up, Dreamcast.
Ooh.
Dreamcast was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, Dreamcast. I owned it, and to this day, I kick myself. I sold it to a friend. I had the little memory card that had a screen on it, which you could continue to play in your pocket. You could play the game, take it home, plug it into the controller, get into the game, and your character.
Dreamcast was ahead of its time,
man. Dreamcast was hardware that was
cool
ahead of its time. Yeah. Stylish, beautiful-looking console. I swear, I wish I still had it.
Also, the death of Sega as a console gamer. Yeah, sadly,
so sad. Yeah.
So I think our answers kind of. They're kind of indicative of when we got into gaming.
Yeah.
Right. Although I mean, I've as long as I can remember, I've had some sort of console in my hand. But when I really got into it was same era as you, was N64.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the N64.
It was the N64 when the N64 came out, and I had the Nintendo. I had the Super Nintendo, and the Super Nintendo was great. Like, we played the shit out of our Super Nintendo. But when the N64 came out, it was revolutionary because it was in 3D.
Yes.
Right? And that's when all these games and all these franchises that we've come to love, to know and to love, they're now in 3D. Right? Yeah. Like, I remember my first experience with playing with the N64 was at a Toys R Us by our house in some place in Canada. And I remember walking in, and I remember the stand for it, and like I'm hitting the joystick, and the joystick is moving forward, and Mario's running. It was a Mario
64? Mario 64, yeah.
Yeah. And I
Super
remember
Mario 64.
walking and I jam it and he starts running. And then I ease back on it and he starts tiptoeing. And I'm like,
blown away.
it was so fucking
So
cool. It was like, I get to do all this stuff and I get to change my camera angles and I get to see all this other stuff. And then, Wave Runner was a big one too.
Oh, I remember that.
Played the
That was
shit
one of the launch
out
titles.
of we
Yes.
played the shit out of Wave Runner. I actually don't know that we owned it. I think we just rented it in perpetuity from Blockbuster.
What's a Blockbuster?
Right?
Wasn't it Wave Race?
Wave Race or Wave Racer?
Wave Race
Racer?
64? Wave Race 64?
Maybe I don't know.
I'll locate it.
You know
I'll
what I'm
find
talking
it.
about, though.
I do.
Yeah. So then we also had like the Mario Kart, right? So Mario Kart from Super Nintendo moving into N64. It's in 3D, man. Rainbow Road kicks the shit out of you in 3D. I mean, kicks the shit out of you in 2D too, but
Kicks the shit out of you any way you slice it.
pretty much. But I think that was the console that really, really sucked me in, and I probably dedicated the most amount of time to up until that point. For me, it was revolutionary, and I think what the PlayStation did for I don't want to say those gamers. It's not like us versus them,
Right,
but
it's-
it was like some people got into PlayStation at that age, and some people
Nintendo
got into
64.
into
I
Nintendo.
knew a guy who had both around the same time when they were first out, and it's what both systems
parents
did
were
for
rich.
games. No, he was an
kidding.
older than me.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Made his own money.
Okay,
I did
but it
li-
was great.
I did like that they actually, after it had been out for a while, in order to push it further, they came out with that expansion pack
Hell yeah.
to push it. And
It was a memory
and it actually
expansion.
got a little bit better. You didn't have to buy a new console. It was
Yeah.
just a little thing that
Yeah.
actually made things better.
Well,
Right.
you had certain games later on, like Majora's Mask. You had to have
was
the
required.
memory. The
Yeah.
memory expansion
I
was
can remember
required.
there was a game that I bought it for. I don't know whether it was Perfect Dark or
Yeah.
something like that required it, but
What?
Yeah.
Wasn't there? Didn't they introduce Rumble for the first time on that system?
Yes,
think so.
absolutely. And you
Yeah,
had
it
to
was
get
called
the Rumble
Wavebird.
pack.
Wavebird, I think it was called.
Oh, I don't remember what it was called.
Was it called Wavebird?
I thought it was just a Rumble pack.
It was a Rumble
hilarious.
pack. Yeah, you would
Yeah.
add it on or something, or it was a
Yeah.
controller with Rumble built in. I think.
It wasn't built in though. You had to get the
Wavebird.
cartridge.
Yeah.
You had to get the
It was
cartridge.
the Rumble
and
pack.
you
It was
slide
the
in
Rumble
back
pack.
I think it
and
was
the
called
bottom.
Wavebird. Correct me
Are
if
you
I'm
sure?
wrong.
I thought it was just called the Rumble Pack.
I thought it was Rumble pack. I don't know.
Maybe Wavebird is a
Where's
third-party
Wavebird?
Is
version.
Kirrok crazy?
Is that kind of like Thundercats? Like
Thundercats.
Oh!
Wavebird. Wavebird, ho!
it was good though. It was
So Super Nintendo,
Yeah, PlayStation 1.
PlayStation 1,
And 64.
and 64. All three, in my opinion, super solid systems.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Incredibly
absolutely.
solid. All very good answers.
Thank
like
you.
it, yeah.
I like that. Yeah, it's good.
Should we
We should move on.
should we
right?
dig
box.
into another one?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
Who
do
grabbed
this.
that one?
I did.
Yeah.
Kirok, you want to grab this
I'll
one?
grab it? Okay.
The guy didn't come back with another package. This is the same package.
The same
Yeah.
package?
Yeah. No more knocks.
Special delivery.
Yeah, someone delivered a lot of topics.
Okay,
to
I
us.
got one.
All right.
Worst crossover. So
That's
What does
gonna
that
be
mean?
so hard.
Can we define what is meant by crossover?
What's a
'Cause
crossover?
I don't. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Yes, so crossover can be defined as characters from one game appearing in another. It can be two properties from different companies being used in the same game for the first time. Think, and this is not my example for worst,
No.
but something like Mario and Raving Rabbids.
Okay.
Something like that where they take two different properties
one.
and they smash it together. I actually don't. I don't
I
know
have
how the
one.
hell I'm going to answer this
Yeah,
one.
I'm trying
This
to
is
think
by far the hardest
Okay,
one.
it is the hardest one. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to say?
I don't know.
So
I actually don't know.
there is. So my answer is Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors.
yeah.
Okay. But
So-
this is worst? Worst crossover.
Worst. It's not that good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's because there's a series of games, a franchise of games that's what is the franchise called? It's like something Warriors.
It's like Dynasty Warriors. or
Dynasty
something
Warriors.
Like that.
So you go in, it's a fighting game. You go in, you just you hit your sword and you fucking kill like 50 monsters.
Well, it's
and
all about taking on just huge
yeah.
amounts
Huge waves.
of enemies.
It's like huge
Yeah.
waves of enemies,
Dynasty
and you
Warriors
take
one
it
like that, yeah.
That's what it was. So Hyrule Warriors was like this in between. I think it was between Skyward Sword and what came after Skyward Sword? Skyward Sword after Skyward Sword was
Wind Waker?
no, Wind Waker was before Skyward Sword. Wind Waker was GameCube, so it was before Breath of the Wild. It was like holding over, the Zelda fans until the next release of the main game, and not the the 3DS games or whatever. They released Hyrule Warriors, and Hyrule Warriors is basically Link with a huge ass sword fucking going through the fields and killing all these minions. Okay. And it's like you go through these levels and you go through these maps and it tells you where to go, and you just swing your sword and kill like fucking wave after wave of these mobs. There isn't really a story. I mean, I think there's a story, but the story is that there isn't a story. You're literally just like killing shit. That's literally all you're doing. It was bad. I played it because I was like, oh, look, it's Link. And I got tired of it. I didn't finish it. It was like, there's only so many fucking mobs that you can kill.
I played it as well, and I found it kind of weak. I actually found that it was a bad move for Nintendo to license for that, because it didn't make Dynasty Warriors look bad. It made Zelda look bad.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It diminished Zelda to a Dynasty Warriors game, and those two games are not on the same level. They're not. So I don't know like how much money exchanged hands to make that happen. But
I think it was to hold the
people
Zelda.
Like that game though. People do. It's not like, if you looked on Metacritic, it doesn't have the worst scores. Not great, not like high end.
But like I said, I think it's partly because like the people who are sore about it on its own, it's not an awful game. But like the people who are sore about it are people like me that were holding out for a Zelda game. I wanted a new Zelda game, and they're like, "Here you go. Here's a Zelda game."
That was a recent release, wasn't it?
Wii U. I think it was Wii U.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't that well, I think 3 years ago maybe it came out or something like that.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna just die on this question.
Right now I can't even think of anything that was.
So okay, let's hash it out then. We can help each other on this one. So crossovers. Try to think of any crossovers at all. You can think of a game like.
The problem is the ones that come to mind are good.
Like I know, like
Kingdom
Super
Hearts.
Smash Brothers,
right?
Smash Brothers, like that has lots of different properties in one place, but it's a great game. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll try to buy you a little time. This is going to be my answer. I'm not 100% that this is the worst crossover ever, but it's not a good crossover, and it's one that I could think of. Recently, I played through, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I played through Assassin's Creed Origins. And what I liked about that game, now I'll get to the crossover. What I liked about that game is that, it really got hailed as being like an interesting depiction of Egypt in that time, in terms of, the pyramids and the way they dressed the characters and whatnot was supposed to be like, it's a period piece, right?
Yeah,
and they did a good job of trying to capture Egypt in that time. But I guess at some point they made a deal with Square, and it was around the time of the release of Final Fantasy 15, and there's an event in-game in which it's kind of weird the way they do it too, where like everything is kind of, I wouldn't say super realistic, but at least historical, like leans on historical. But you go and you literally not fight, but encounter one of the enemies from Final Fantasy, and it's just this like crazy fantastical creature, and it flies into the sky, and there's a big cutscene, and once it leaves, you get Ultima Weapon, which is one of the big swords of lore from Final Fantasy. And now you've got the Ultima Weapon and the shield that goes with it. I don't remember the name of the shield, whether it's important or not, but you have Ultima Weapon in Assassin's Creed. And I get it. They did it as a cross promotion. So, hey, if you like this game, check out Final Fantasy 15. But for a game that I was like kind of immersed in the lore, it kind of broke that a little.
Okay.
It took me out of, now I'm not in Egypt anymore. I have this ridiculous sword that's not a historical type of Egyptian sword at all. It looks like a straight up fantasy sword. And it kind of, I remember thinking like this did more damage than good.
Okay.
It didn't help me at all. It was kind of just like it cheapened it. It didn't feel good. Is it the worst crossover ever?
Didn't enrich the game in any way.
No, not at all. In fact, like I was kind of like, I kind of groaned out loud. I was like, come on. Like, and I don't even, dislike the Ultimate Weapon. I like it in the lore of Final Fantasy, but in the lore of Final Fantasy, not in another game. So is it the worst crossover ever? I don't think so. It's not a great one, though, and I didn't like it.
Got it,
And I
okay.
could think of it, so hopefully I bought you enough time to
So
answer.
I did think
Okay,
of
good.
one. I did think of one, but I'll explain it because I didn't play it per se.
Okay.
And you might not like my answer, or you might not like my answer.
Shit.
Because there is... Okay, I've already talked about this before on the show. I have Skyrim. Skyrim, played it on the computer, then it came out for the Switch, played it on the Switch. I was blown away how well it was on the Switch, how good it was, and so on. One of the things that I thought was kind of cool, but in the end, my reaction to it was, I don't think they should have done that.
Lame.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
No.
No? Okay. Apparently, in the Skyrim version on the Switch, and this is why I say I didn't do this. I haven't played it. I haven't done it.
Yeah.
But I remember watching videos about this, so I know it's there, and I'll find footage and throw it up. If you have the proper amiibo, you can actually place it on the controller of the Switch, and you'll get your character in Skyrim will be dressed as Link.
Yeah, I
So
have
you'll have
heard
the
about
sword,
that,
you'll
yeah.
have the green outfit and everything,
Which is
And-
lame.
Well, but that was my
It's-
reaction. So I'm not saying this more on my experience because I haven't done it.
Right.
Yeah.
But my reaction to it was, this is lame. This is probably not that good. Not necessarily the worst, but
Right.
not that good. You know.
Right.
So that's mine.
But I don't think that's that dissimilar from what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because part of what makes Skyrim so good is like the Viking helmets and like the Nordic themed
Yeah.
everything.
If I'm
Put the
playing
dude
Skyrim, I
in
want
like a
Skyrim.
bright green tunic and it defeats the seriousness
The
of
grit,
the tone.
the gritty.
Yeah, like it just kind of cheapens
environment.
it.
Yeah.
And it's, is the cost of that crossover, is it worth it? Is it worth that nod to break that wall?
I'd say it's nice as a nod, but if I had the choice, I would not do it. I want to play the game as what that game is meant to be.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a fantasy world set in a world with magicians and dragons and spells and sorcerers and wizards. Not Link.
But that's not that dissimilar
It's
from
not
what
that
Link
dissimilar
does.
for Link, but Link feels like it's more for
It's colorful.
it's colorful, it's bright,
A
it's
little
like
bit more playful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Have you guys played Twilight Princess?
oh,
Maybe that's less
yes,
colorful.
I have.
Yeah,
on the
maybe-
Wii, I
yeah.
have, but I didn't
Maybe
finish it.
traditionally more colorful, more playful. I mean, it's got a little fairy like, hey, listen.
Listen.
You would never see that in Skyrim.
No,
In Skyrim,
never.
it would be like, this man killed my whole family. Please avenge me. Like, it's dark. You wouldn't get that in a Zelda game. So maybe
No.
they just don't combine. So I think Aggro had the only true crossover response.
Yeah,
That's
agreed.
a really,
That's
really
a hard question. Who came up with that question?
It was
That's
me.
an
I
awful
could see that it
question.
was in my writing, and I hate
I say
myself for
next
it.
time when
Did
the
you
guy
have-
brings the box, we kill him. Kill the messenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
He's long gone by
Oh,
now.
yeah,
He's
too
long
late.
gone by now. And historically, crossovers just generally do not work. Like, can you, and I know we had a couple examples like Smash Brothers that
Yeah.
did work, but can you think of that many
Smash
examples?
Brothers, I wouldn't even call that a crossover, though. It's not a crossover. It's literally not.
No.
It's not like two platforms that merged. It's like one platform with just a bunch of characters. It's completely out of its
But-
lore. It's completely out of like everything else.
Yeah, the
Crossover
game
does
is.
not imply platform, though.
It-
Crossover implies
like
different
different-
IPs.
Yes.
Different
Different iconic characters
Blended.
come into one.
Like Metroid running into Super Mario. They're from different gaming universes. They should never exist in the same room.
Crash Bandicoot. And
But
Ratchet
in a
and Clank.
game where they're fighting on these floating platforms with this castle.
Okay, so would you call Mario Kart a cross-platform?
Technically, yes, but an example of a
crossover?
good one.
Oh, wait, hang on. Does Mario Kart also include other characters other than the universe of Mario?
Actually, does it? I think it's only
Mario characters.
no.
No,
In the
you
later
have
games,
Link, you
in the
have
later
Yo-
games,
yeah,
they
you
had
have-
Link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The
okay,
original
okay.
Super Mario, I think, was straight up Mario characters: Toad, Koopa, Bowser, and all that. But they expanded it a little further in the later years.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, because you could control it, Link. Who else? The guys from, or the characters from Splatoon, the Squid
Oh,
Kids.
Squid Kids, yes.
Yeah, like you can control them.
You had some
That's
Animal
multi-property.
Crossing guys too.
And there's examples of other companies trying it as well. There's a game called Brawlout, which is a lot of different drink box games. The funny thing about that is Drinkbox is not a big enough company that everyone knows them.
Okay.
So they took all these characters from their games and put them in one game and made them fight, and everyone was just kind of like, that's cool. Who are these guys? You know, like it's one thing if you're Nintendo, you can pull it off. People know those characters,
Right, exactly.
So it's got to be the right properties in the right environment for a good crossover. That's my take.
Crossovers.
Crossovers.
Who'da thunk?
Technically, us appearing on the BRG podcast,
Was a crossover.
that's a crossover. Not the worst one. It's a pretty good one.
It was a good one. Yeah. So, I've developed a bit of a taste until,
Cool. Develop a taste for this one
Yeah,
too.
suddenly the pumpkin's not so bad.
it's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's still bad. You tried it. You tried it.
No, thank you.
No.
No, thanks.
So, friends, if you liked today's discussion or watching us struggle to answer that question, that was super tough. And I can imagine, to be honest, when you guys start commenting more, there's going to be questions that you ask us that we're like, I love you for commenting, but damn. It's going to happen. We are going to be challenged. We're going to do our best to answer it anyways. And these are unscripted events, so we'll do our best to roll with the punches. But if you liked what you saw, please comment something to us. If you can think of any worse crossovers, there's got to be worse. There's got to be worse. Help us out
Give
on
us
that
examples,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, like I know there are bad ones. Crossovers generally fail. We can remember the good ones because they were good. But subscribe to us, like us, smash that like button.
All those good things.
All those good things. Follow us on Patreon. Follow us on Twitter. Don't follow us in real life unless you know us.
That's
Don't
really
hide in the
weird.
bushes.
Don't do that.
It'll be one day we'll be like, hey, I have a stalker.
Yeah, be
Oh
like,
shit.
huh? That's how you know you've made it, though.
Yeah, of course.
If you say
Time to
so.
retire. Cool. Anything else, folks?
I got
No,
nothing.
think that's it.
This beer sucks. I'm not liking it.
I feel like this beer, it held you back this
Listen,
episode.
I think, you know what? I think it's somebody somewhere loves it. I'm sure that that's true.
The guy that made it is like, this is the best. I
I'm
can't
sure.
wait for people
Listen,
to get
I
their-
just don't like porters. I think
It's-
that's what it is.
It's a porter, and it's got, what was the other stuff? Black Forest porter?
yeah.
So it's a crossover.
It's a crossover beer, guys.
Worst
Bringing it
crossover
full circle.
ever.
Right there.
That's amazing. We can end on that note.
Yeah, let's end on that.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
We'll
guys.
see you next episode.
Bye. Proper Scottish way of saying it.
Macleaniac. Of the Macleaniac clan.
That's right.
Macleaniac.
Macleaniac.
I do not appreciate that. Kirrok, Aggro. Kirrok, Aggro. Gotcha.
I'm aggro.
Testing, 1 2 1 2.
Yes, you are, Aggro.
Aggro.
I'm not Kirrok.
I'm Kirrok.
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 Aggro.
Don't do that.
Aggrock.
Aggrock. Aggrock. Kiro.
Kirgro.
Kiro. Kiro. Kiro.
Kirgro.
Guys, this is what I fucking deal with.